Hello, I am Xinyi Zhang. Today I am going to discuss severe e-waste in Guiyu, China. Today's objectives are to understand what kind of pollution is caused by e-waste, learn about the adverse health effects of e-waste disposal, and get how to change, develop policy, and clean up. And we will follow by timeline of the event, e-waste contamination in Guiyu, risk of exposure and health effects, establishing of an e-waste industrial park, and legislation of e-waste in China. Timeline. In 1990, the transnational exchange of electronic trash from developed to developing nations. In 2000, China prohibited the import of electronic trash. In 2013, built the e-waste center in Guiyu was in order to concentrate the pollution. In 2015, Guiyu e-waste recycling sector has been formalized on a significant scale by the Chinese government. E-waste contamination in Guiyu. Guiyu is located in southeastern China. In affluent nations, recycling can be difficult because of high prices and rigorous environmental regulations, which encourage export to locations like Guiyu. Once, there were over 5,000 small, often family-run, recycling workshops in the former rice village. People work breaking upon and melting e-waste in pots and pans. Toxic smoke blow out from impervious aluminum chimney and cover the city in a blanket of noxious fumes, and sacks overfilled with e-waste litter the street. Guiyu has consequently been referred to as the most hazardous area in the world, or trashy city. Electronic devices, including TVs, laptops, air conditioners, refrigerators, and washing machines, are commonly categorized into 5 sections in China. Many impolite methods, including physical disassembling, open burning, and acid lynch, are utilized in the recycling of e-waste, and these methods have seriously polluted the ecosystem of Guiyu. High concentrations of heavy metals have been found in nearby air, soil, water, sediment, plant, and dust as a result of long-standing e-waste recycling and deconstruction process. According to Figure 2, we can find that in 2040, the generation of e-waste in China was less than in the US. But in 2016, China was higher than the US. In Figure 3, it is obvious that zinc and lead are the most abundant from the reservoir in Guiyu. Risk of exposure and health effect. Heavy metals enter the body through 3 routes: inhalation, dietary intake, and skin contact. Newborns and children are particularly sensitive to heavy metals because of other routes of exposure, including in utero placental exposure, postnatal breastfeeding, and high-risk behavior such as early hand-to-mouth activity and higher-risk behaviors in early adolescence. In addition, children of e-waste recyclers are exposed to contamination from their parents' clothes and skin. Furthermore, if their houses are used as family-run disposal and recycling workshops, they will face direct high levels of exposure. For these reasons, heavy metals pose a variety of threats to local residents, especially vulnerable groups. One of the common and enduring environmental hazards from e-waste is lead. Based on the U.S. definition, CDC of the BLS diagnostic criterion is 10 micrograms per deciliter for kids. The CDC decreased the threshold of lead exposure in kids from 10 microgram per deciliter to 5 microgram per deciliter in 2012. Although BLS in children in Guiyu have decreased from around 50 microgram per deciliter to 6 microgram per deciliter over the past decade, current BLS in Guiyu's children are still higher than in the reference area, indicating that children are more sensitive to E-Waste exposure and therefore have higher potential health effects compared to older. Clean up, establish of an industrial park. People can rent space and carry on with their recycling business in the brand new E-Waste Recycling Industrial Park in Guiyu. This time, the environmental agency have paid for a more environmentally friendly chimney to absorb the pollution. With the completion of the new park, the E-Waste on Guiyu seems to have disappeared in an instant. Streets once crowded with E-Waste are now filled with easy-to-manage residual waste. For Guiyu, this change means more than just moving to an industrial park. It means that all the pollution has been controlled and life can be started to return. Figure 5 is related to E-Waste legislation in China from 2009 to 2017. Importantly, a regulation legalized and restrict the illegal E-Waste market in Guiyu in 2013, and in 2017, the implementation plan on banning import of foreign garbage and advancing the reform of the solid waste import administration system. Summary: Guiyu is the world's largest dumping ground for electronic waste. In purple, E-Waste recycling can cause ecological pollution, especially heavy metal pollution. Lead levels in the blood of children in Guiyu are higher than children in other areas of China. In 2030, Guiyu established a E-Waste recycling center to centralize the management of recycling operations. China government laws to address E-Waste issue recently. And there are my references. Thanks for listening.